Hello, and welcome to another episode of FlutterFlow Live. I have to say, it is really good that Dimitar is involved in this because otherwise these things would never ever happen. because I think I even said this last week. I genuinely just don't remember until about 5 minutes before when he phones me. It's like, "Are you doing this?" So, big thank you to him for helping with that. And yeah,
Yeah,
welcome.
that's why we are two people to support each other's, right?
Yeah, that's community for you, right? Um, so yeah, thank you to everyone joining us live, and also to those who are watching on replay. Um, we are going to kind of go through the normal. Going to give a little bit of structure here, which we never normally have. We're going to fall into our normal pattern. We'll go through some of the latest community, what's new in the community with FlutterFlow, and then we will. Dimitar has some things to share with you, I believe, on data types. Is that right?
Yes, it's actually no safety and data types and return types. So it's a little bit code, but I'll try to do
It
it.
will make it fun. Don't worry. I've got
Yes, I'll
nothing else
try.
prepared, so I'll provide some some light
Yes,
entertainment.
yeah.
Uh,
My idea because the code is very simple, but yet there are some things that people need to understand. So I hope that with this live session, they'll be easier in the future for all the users to understand how they can structure their custom code.
yeah, I think that's really cool, and that is the stuff that comes up in the community a lot, and that is kind of the point, I guess, of these shows. So Dimitar will talk about that. I have some things that I was working on, which is why I didn't remember to come here, and which I might share you, which is actually about something that is asked a lot in the community, which is about kind of surveys, quizzes, data structures, and stuff. How do you kind of do that in a sensible way in Firebase? Yeah, without further ado, oh yeah, and we're going to talk about null safety, by the way, guys, every single week until until everybody gets it, because I still was fighting. I had my project crashing again because of some a data type and a null safety issue to do with timestamps. So, um,
Yeah, actually, I had a project, my demo project. I was thinking that I migrated to no safety,
yeah,
but I saw that I didn't. So I have like I don't know, like 10 or 20 custom code inside it. So I think it could be a good live session for the next time or time
yeah,
after that.
that'd be
Yeah.
really cool. I mean, the one that I was struggling with was about I had it was and I can't say conclusively if this is the case, but essentially what I had is I had not to jump ahead, but a timestamp I wanted to check. Like, is it after the expiry time? And but that expiry time was not going to be set when you came to the page necessarily. So I wanted to obviously check if it was null. And that null check was fine. But because on the thing that I was trying to hide or show the button text, I was also using that. I essentially didn't have the null safety check in the nested functions, if you like, and because of that, it caused green screen of death. So, but I will show maybe more of that if we have time later. So let's go to the news. I feel like we should start having like little theme tunes, like
Yeah,
the
it's
theme.
actually we have to congratulate not congratulate, but we have to say that I'm really happy and surprised that FlutterFlow had actually continued. The FlutterFlow team are actually continued doing those updates every week,
Yeah,
and that's great for us as well. So we can talk about it, right?
no, definitely. And also, I have to say, I'm surprised. I'm really appreciate all the feedback we've had from everybody on the community. I'm glad these are kind of, it seems helpful to some people. And it's definitely was very much unexpected. I kind of thought nobody would watch. But so hopefully you're seeing my screen with a million tabs open like usual. Uh, and I'll just zoom in a little bit. Oh, is this going to be one of these days where I have to restart my computer? Mid. Maybe if I start closing some stuff. Um, what do I open? Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. It's a good thing I don't care about my privacy, which is always sharing absolutely everything I have.
My problem is because right now I'm traveling and I'm not with my main computer, so we rely on George's computer right now.
Yeah,
So
I will be there. It's okay because I didn't plan anything else. That's all I have. Uh, Jesus.
I
Excuse
think
my.
now is
There you
now
go.
it's
Is that okay?
okay,
Is that big
right?
enough? Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to, what's new in FlutterFlow? What is new in FlutterFlow? I haven't actually, was there a big update or?
No, it's not. It's not a huge update, but still.
Okay. Oh, yes, it is. I see exactly. This is from this week, right? This isn't, yeah, 4
Yes.
days ago.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's new in FlutterFlow? Just as a reminder, there is this hackathon. You can win a couple $1,000, so nothing to smirch at if you're a startup with no money. It's the submission date is September 5th. It's about creating a game. You can win some money from the judges and then also some money from the community. They have some samples. All the information is there. So there's a little reminder about that. This one, I think a lot of people are going to be excited about. And I haven't, it's 5 days later, and I still haven't even checked this out yet. This is the new widget type they've added, which is essentially if you want to create the next Tinder. So it's a swipeable stack. I assume it's going to be able to pull in data from any sort of your lists in Firestore. So my guess is that each one of these, I mean, and this looks really beautiful, by the way.
Yes.
I know which pub. This is the Apito, I think, is the underlying package, something like that, or App Tap or something like that. Anyway, so essentially each one of these, London, Riga, would be a document potentially in your Firestore with the information, and then you're just going to pull in that whole list, just like you kind of would for a page view, but it's just got some really cool animations and the ability to add buttons. I think it's a really, really cool widget.
Yeah. I imagine it like the list view, right? So you have to have like an array of things and then
exactly. They don't each have to be documents. It's true. The only reason I was imagining it, my use, like a use case would be where you would be using these buttons here.
Yeah.
You would be using them to add that document to a list of users. For instance, if each user had a list of places I want to go, places I don't want to go, my favorite travel destinations. Yeah. Then with each of these cards, what you could do is, I'm assuming it triggers an action as soon as you touch it. That you can also, unless it's one of these ones that doesn't allow you to have actions on the custom widget, but hopefully you could put an action on these buttons here essentially and make it so that it then adds that document reference to the user's places I like list, and then have a page on your app where you display all the places I didn't like and all the places I liked. I think it's really cool. I'm really excited. I don't know why I haven't checked it out yet. I just haven't had time. Another one, I'm guessing this is also a lot asked for. I've definitely seen it a few times. A timer widget. I haven't looked at the example interactive, but in general, I mean, that's a pretty cool feature. What would you use this for? Workout, push-ups, potentially. Yeah. This one, I think I've been asking for this since day one. For those of you who may or may not have noticed, in the search bar, you can't, when you go to add a widget directly into the widget tree, which of course I don't have open. Oh, here. By the way, what was it called? By the way, the project you want to use?
Oh, the one. It's test 1, 2, 3. The one that I shared with you.
Yeah.
Right? It should be test 1, 2, 3.
Did you, by any chance, put a capital letter in my email? Oh, the email address I gave you. I didn't realize it was for that. I gave you the wrong one then. Sorry.
Okay.
Let me type you the actual email address. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
The
problem if I go offline, just I will join again if my computer just.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just type you. Sorry, I didn't realize. I wasn't thinking.
Yeah, it's okay.
That one. And remember, no capital J, please. Otherwise, it doesn't work. While Dimitar is sharing his project with me, I will get back to what I was doing, which is that basically, when you add something on the from the widget tree, what you used not to have, you have the search, so you can search for icon button, etc. But you could never search custom widgets. Well, now apparently, and I know because I've definitely tried this, you can, which is really cool. Now,
I think I share it now.
Okay, thank you. Cool. And that's kind of it for the weekly roundup in terms of the new stuff. I may have to go away for a minute and shut down my computer. It's unbearable. All right. There's some new documentation about, have you checked this out?
No, but
It's all about
yeah,
custom
it's
widgets, which I have to say, I found the old documentation. It was helpful, but it yeah, it wasn't as good as OpenAI. Um, I think they've expanded it now. One of the big things I think I would notice is that right here, now
yeah.
because FlutterFlow can deploy for web, you always want to make sure when you are looking at a package that it supports web and iOS and Android in order to have full compatibility. If you're ever using a website like Flutter Gems, which is a great place to look for plugins, they helpfully have that information. They do also on PubDev. But for each of these, I pick a random one. For each package, you'll see right here, these symbols. This is how you know if it has web support. I believe web support is the Windows.
But I think this is written also in
It is.
pub.dev,
It's written
isn't
on
it?
PubDev as well. And I'm pretty sure they say that in this new tutorial. They say exactly
Yeah.
where to find it. So choose your package. Oh, yeah, exactly right here. It goes through how to choose which ones are good, which ones are maintained, et cetera, et cetera. They also have some more information, just more step-by-step stuff. So I think this is pretty cool. I'm really glad they've done that. And then, yeah, a few bug fixes, nothing groundbreaking that I see, which means nothing I've experienced. And what they're working on, API improvements. I'm wondering if this is going to be, I've seen a lot of people in the community asking about XML queries, which I don't think
Yeah, the problem, I
responded
think,
to it.
I'm not sure, but the problem right now with the apicos, I'm not, as I said, I'm not sure, but I think if you have a variable inside your arrow address, and
Yeah,
I think this right now it's not possible, right?
no, I don't think so at all.
Yeah, so maybe this is one of the
Yeah,
things that,
maybe. The other one that the people were asking about, and I was kind of surprised it wasn't, is obviously I've only ever really used APIs that are with JSON. So this kind of, it's a certain type for people who don't know. An API call is a call
yeah,
to another web server if you want to, for instance, get a list of McDonald's restaurants in your area or something like that. And then it will pull. So you send a request, it sends back data. You can display your data in the list view just like you do from Firestore. And normally these work with, they send the data in what's called a JSON, which is just a fancy syntax for it essentially. And it's kind of very structured. So you normally have a certain format where it's like name, McDonald's restaurant 1, name 2. But XML is like the older format, right? I think I'm
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And it seems like FlutterFlow doesn't support that. But obviously there are still some legacy services and stuff that do use XML, which is horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, the XML type, it's not that bad. The
But
bad
I
thing
just
is
don't think
that,
you can do it. You can't do it in FlutterFlow.
yeah, the bad thing is that XML is a little bit more kilobytes at the end of the day.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's why JSON is the preferable type, because JSON it's a smaller. So if you're using the JSON one
Yeah.
versus the XML one, the XML one will be a couple of bytes more. So
And does
that's
that
why
make that big a
everyone
difference?
prefers JSON right now.
Does that make such a huge difference? Is it that much like, is an honest question? Is it like a lot
Yeah,
faster then?
yeah. The thing is that if you are on a mobile connection, I mean it depends where are you in the world. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're in a mobile connection, probably you have sometimes you will experience a slow internet connection.
Okay.
So they tend people just tend to, if it's possible to use the smaller megabytes or
Yeah, of
gigabytes
course.
or
I mean, it's
kilobytes.
also for like, I remember my old job, you sort of forget sometimes. Some people don't necessarily have the latest phone, and size on their phone is actually sometimes an issue.
Yeah. So
Which
I
is,
have I have actually, if you think you can start, we can start with that.
yeah,
I
I'm
have
in your
actually
project now.
a few questions for you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because the thing is that as I always said, as I always saying this, I'm a API guy, so I'm
Yeah.
not using Firebase. So if you go to the Firebase, yeah, this one exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have the collections, and we have the
Yeah.
types, and we have the settings.
Yeah.
So the types actually it's something new, right?
Yeah.
It was not here before.
No, no, originally it wasn't. This is the thing that we talked about it in one of our episodes, no?
Yeah, but can you, because I'm using as I said, I'm using the API And
Yeah.
I think when you're using an API, you don't need types in the end of the day. I mean, of
No.
course, if you're using a types, it will be better, but you can do almost anything without any types.
Yeah,
And
I
can
mean,
you just
I don't even know if these would necessarily. I guess they will work, but I mean, their primary purpose is to do maps, right? So what a
yeah?
Firestore calls maps.
So can you just explain to a guy that is using API, for example, if you have a product,
Yeah,
what is the setup that you need to do in Fire?
in
Uh,
Firestore.
exactly.
So if I was going to create a products collection, let's say, yeah,
Yeah.
what I might do is obviously maybe attach. It's like force of habit now. I always do the same setup for every collection. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for those who are brand new, really maybe just watching this for the first time, what I'm doing here is just doing a basic setup collection. So every collection should be always a group of the same type of thing, right? In simple terms. So this will be products, users, etc., etc. Which speaks. I don't have a users collection here. So looks like you're trying to. Yeah, sure. Oh, great. Thanks. That's a nice little touch. So you've got a group of things. So, and then what you have here are the keys or field names. These are essentially, and then you have the properties, and these are different types of properties about them, which are either like a number or some text. So with products, if I was going to do products, I would maybe do, okay, let's say it's like an eBay marketplace, right? So users are selling products. So that means that each product is going to be owned by a user. Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily the case. So, what type of documents I would link it back and say, okay, each user owns it. Okay, cool. Now I would say I would have maybe an image because I want to upload an image of whatever laptop I'm selling or something, and then maybe a title or something like that. I would do it like this, and this is not going to use data types. Yeah.
Yeah.
In general, just because I kind of got used to doing it this way. I don't use data types because the one time I tried to do exactly something for like a store. So what I wanted to have was a data type that was price and quantity, if you remember. And so I was going to have that be in here. Data type was going to be, I don't know, price QTY or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have a data type that was, maybe this is the one you already have for something like that. So that's how I would do it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. But what is the? I mean, when a user have to add the types, what is your suggestion? So what is the advantage of adding the types, the data
The
types?
advantage of adding the types, I would say, is that let's use a great example is address. Yeah. Let's say that you've got your users collection, and then you've also got, a restaurants collection for all the restaurants in the world. Then you've also got hotels, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got hotels, and then maybe you've got bowling alleys, yeah?
Yeah.
Some random thing. Each of these are needing to live in a different collection, and each of them are going to need to have an address, right?
Yeah.
Now, an address is typically, if you want to do it right, you would do it with not just, one field address. You would have number for like whatever house number it is. You'd then have street name. You'd like break it down like this, right?
Yeah.
So that it's really compartmentalized. Then city, and then state. So this is where, since each one of these three collections, plus maybe your users, is going to want to have an address, this is where the data types becoming really handy. Just from a purely clean purpose, if you like, it's much easier to add one data type to each of these, and then it's always the same,
Yeah.
So I think that's the advantage from my perspective.
Yeah.
It's a
But
lot.
you added the collections, right? So
Yeah.
you have to go to the types and then add restaurants, for example, and
No, no, no,
create it
no.
here,
So I
right?
would no. The data type I would add would be address.
Okay.
So I would create a data type with address, and then I would have number, just like I was doing before. I would have number for the road number, the house number, or whatever. Then I would have street name, and then finally, let's say, and then let's say it's city, yeah? And then what I do is I go back to my collections here, and in hotels, I now would add address, and I will select data type here, and I'm going to pick that address data type, and it's going to add automatically now. All of those things are in here essentially.
Okay.
So I don't have to type it out 5 times.
Do you need to have the address data type? So in this example that you showed us, you don't have the collection address. Do you need to have the collection address also?
No. The data type is purely, it's only about this stuff. This is not actual, like, nothing is stored in here. All these are, the simplest way of thinking about these is these are essentially shortcuts. Is it right? For group, what previously you had to do with 3 fields, you can now do with 1. Yeah. And that's all. It's as simple as that. So it just means that when you're specifying this, you are linking and saying, really, I mean all 3 of these.
Okay. Hi to Nelson, just by the way, because he wrote to us in the meantime.
Hello, Nelson. Thank you for joining us.
And okay, so can you just tell me about the Firebase? So when you have this address inside the hotels,
We're like in a quiz now. This is
I'm just wondering because as I said, I'm not a Firebase guy, so you are the master of the Firebase, so you probably know better, right? So when you have the hotels collections and you're added the address as a type, what would be, how would be stored inside Firebase?
So in Firebase, it would get stored like, let me go to just any random collection. Let's say I wanted to give my users an address here. Yeah. So I've got here my user document, and I'm going to create this address field.
Yes.
And then it's called here map.
Okay.
It's not called data type.
Okay.
And then we would have number, which is a number, like this. Then we'd have address, or what I call it, street, which is a string, and then city. Yeah. And so this is maybe 8, and then Brookmead. Maybe I shouldn't tell everybody where I live. Fake street. In case
we don't see what you are writing right now because of the 2 webcams, so don't worry about it.
We don't. I'm not sharing my screen. No, I am.
Yeah,
why don't you see what I'm typing?
Yeah, I see right now. Yeah.
You do, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you just meant because it was small, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, okay, and my last question is, when you have this all set up inside the settings in FlutterFlow, can you just show us how, if you have a button or something like that to add this data inside Firebase, how do you add, for example, the hotels and then the address?
Okay, so let's say this is a good one. I feel like we're actually showing something. So yeah, let's say we have basic, sorry, a basic form here. Give it a little padding. So I've got here a form where I'm going to put my hotel name, and so then I want like a button to add it, and what I would be doing here is I would be, let's say, add action, database, create record, or create document, and I want to create it in the hotels collection. And then I guess actually I need to truly give a good example.
Is it okay for you to just open it on the other screen? On the I mean like the screen that it's opening on their own when you
screen is opening on its own.
Yeah, when you actually when you add an action, there are 2 ways.
Oh, I see what you mean. The action workflow. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I was just putting a second text field. That's all. And by the way, good tool, fun tip. It's actually always good to name your text fields because sometimes it can even actually cause issues whereby if they have the same name, in general, it works fine.
We don't see your screen, by the way, right now.
Oh, of course. Asked me to make it bigger, and I was like, no, I'll just take it away. No more. So here we have your text field street. So I've named these. That was all I was showing because I used never to do this, and it's helpful to do it. Cool. So I've got now 2 text fields. I would need, I guess, a third one for city, which are the things because I am creating, maybe this is my admin portal or whatever, and I am creating a new hotel where I'm saying I stayed at some amazing hotel. Cool. So now,
okay, so as you said, it's good practice to have different names for your text fields, right?
Yeah, exactly. It can actually, I swear, I've even had it cause issues before whereby it like won't, I don't understand the logic of why most of the time it's fine and sometimes it's just not. Cool. So I'm creating this document in the hotels collection. And obviously what we want to set here is we want to set this data type that we created, which is those 3 things all in one, the combined view. And I have 2 choices here. So I can set it from variable, or I can set individual fields. This is the same as specific. So if I wanted to set specific, I can go through and I can do that. So I can set each one of these things, number 8, street name, fake street, like that, right? But if I want to set it from variable, the way I would do that is I would just go here, set from variable, and then I'm going to, this is the problem I hit before. This is why I didn't use data type. So in this case, basically, if you already had a document with that address in it or something, you can then copy it over like that. But in this instance, I have to set them individually, but I can set each one then from a variable like that. So then I can set each one of these to the corresponding, house number, and then the second one, street name. I can link that to the other.
I got that. That sounds and looks simpler enough. But
okay.
My question is. Right now, you're updating hotels, and you are updating actually. You're creating, right? You're creating a document, and the document is hotels, and then you have the addresses.
Yeah.
And inside those addresses, you have you can set it up like individually, as you said. And do you know what is the problem to not be able to set them the other way around? Do you know that? Or
you mean to set them like all as one action?
Yes.
I mean, why? I can't explain to you the underlying, but yeah, this is exactly the hurdle that I hit, and I think we were discussing it in the community, and I think I was even asking for your help with it. It was what Alex spoke to you about. But yeah, essentially, it works where it works from. I will show you one example to show.
In the meantime, hi, home. We have another.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, you are free to ask us.
Do chip them in. Hopefully this is. But I think this is actually a really good, interesting thing. So let's say we were, we wanted to, there's a new, let's say two hotels at the same, or actually let's say this. Let's say there's a restaurant in the hotel. Yeah. So I've got a, in my Firebase, let me make sure I've actually got, so let's delete this because this was when we were doing it manually. Yeah. So we'll set both of these with a data type. Yeah. So they both are using the same data type address.
But he said he had tons of questions. So yeah, you're free to ask everyone.
Yeah, please do. Just drop them in the chat. I can't look at it while I'm doing this, but but Dimitar will, and we will do our best to answer them.
Yeah.
So here I've got now a restaurant and a hotel that both have the same address data type, and that data type has these 3 things, these 3 properties about it that we want to input. On what I'm doing first, we went through and we just added the address, setting each of those things individually from a widget state. But let's say in this example that I'm updating some maybe TripAdvisor thing or whatever. And so what I've actually got here is, let's say I'm querying and I get my, actually let me put this query here, sorry. So I query and I get my hotel, single document, fine. And maybe it's which hotel do you like, Dimitar? Do you have any preference of hotels?
No.
Okay. So let's say it was the name of the hotel is the Hilton or whatever. I'm getting that in this query, right? A single document. This is the hotel page for this branch of the Hilton or whatever. And now with this button, what I want to do is I want to essentially add a restaurant, and say that there's a restaurant in this hotel. And so that restaurant, because it's going to be able to, people are going to be able to search for just restaurants in our app, it needs to have an address as well. And luckily, it's the same address as the hotel. And so the difference in this situation, what we would do when we're setting the fields for this, we would actually set these fields not individually necessarily from those widgets, but we can actually set them from a variable, and we can use the hotel's document address, which has all of the same properties, and we can just copy it over one to one. So the street number will go in the number, the city. So that's how you would do it from a variable when you have the whole type of data type. The problem that I'm guessing you're drawing us towards here is, what if you don't have a document already that has that type? What if you have in a different data type, there's 3 pieces of information and you want to make them into a data type? Is that what you're kind of getting towards?
And let me guess, probably if you have this situation, you can use a custom function in order to convert this to a data type.
That's what I tried. That's what I failed at doing, because I couldn't find a way to actually return. Although in your custom functions, you can, if you have a new function, you can return as your return value a data type, and you can select your address. My logic says that means I should be able to have a number, a street.
That's a good logic, actually.
And a city. And that means I can get these now. They don't have to all come in as a bunch, right? So essentially create address, right? So I can create the data type. That's what I thought I could do.
We can try it. We can try it right now for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If we cannot do it in 5 minutes, we'll just do it.
You remember, because this is the thing you asked Alex. Do you remember his solution?
Yes.
What is it?
Yeah, so the thing is that we have this address strict, as you can see on the 3rd line.
Mm-hmm.
So we can actually first think, we can actually try and do this with the OpenAI. So just we see what the OpenAI will do. So we can try just copy and paste this address strict, then enable the AI generated code. No, no. You can do it because it's a custom function. Yes, because it's a custom function, you can do it inside here.
I forgot.
And just in the meantime, Home will answer your questions. We just want to get with this done, and then we'll answer your question. So you can write address strict. So just copy and paste the address strict.
Yeah, exactly. So basically this, right?
Yeah, no, only the address strict, because the address strict is the data type. So you can just say, you can just write inside the AI generated code.
Explain to the viewers.
Yeah, sure.
When he's saying data type, what he's saying, the blue part of this.
Yes, this is the data type.
This is basically specifying in your function what you're going to be returning. So what you set up here. So whatever you have here, string, these are all data types. So that's why it's special, it's in blue, and it's basically saying you have a function that is going to be returning something called address struct data type. But that is literally, see if I type string, how it's in blue. If I type,
into with the lowercase.
Yeah. So that's just to explain what we're talking about a little bit. So using the AI code generator, if you've never used this before, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, here we can try and just say create or return. We can say return address strict data type. Just write data type. Yes, and then say we can just say, we have to specify it with what we have. So we have to say with a number,
with number
And we have, and I think it's better to just say with a number 4, for example,
Okay.
and with the street, and just use some street, and with a city, and then use
Rather
some
than using
city.
the parameters.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah,
Okay. I just wanted to see what it comes back with. It's always
okay.
a bit like rolling the dice.
Yeah. So here you can see what is doing. Can you just copy the function? We have this, or you can just actually copy from line. Yeah, exactly. We can copy this what you just.
You know what I'm going to do real quick? I'm going to change this from a string because I think it's obviously.
You have to change it inside the code from the other type. Yeah, function definition, exactly.
Yeah, exactly, because I think it's just going to get confused about it. So it's also probably not helpful to have this like also it's fine. I think it's just getting confused. And I have to
if you copy and paste it, did you copy it?
I don't think so. I was a bad.
No, you can just write it. You can just write it. You can just write a return. No, just write return, and I'll tell you what you have to write. Yeah, just write return, and then write address strict.
Like this, like that.
And then just write what was the name of it?
Like or something, you mean?
No, we have to have those things. What was the name of them in English?
I don't know. The arguments.
Yes.
Yep. So return address struct.
So can I write you here? I think
it's
address struct, and then like this. Do you see what I'm writing? Or
yeah, is it in the chat? Yeah.
It's in the chat.
Or sorry, in our chat. Yeah?
No, it's in the chat here. You can see it on the private chat.
Maybe I can. Maybe I can. Sorry, I'm just gonna turn off my. So I write address struct like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let me share my screen again. By the way, what are these questions?
Yeah. So the first question is how can you do a specific compressions when you're getting data from an API? We can talk about that after that. And then there's the second question. There's a situation where I might need to show if a record is increasing or decreasing. Mm-hmm. So I need to show a plus or a minus in that list. My problem is I cannot seem to render icons conditionally. So this is what he wrote it, but we'll talk about it. And then, or we can just, can you just write the same thing? Because I think it would be better to just
have you ever had this?
Just write the AI generated code and just write the same thing we wrote before.
Yeah, no, I will. But have you ever had this where you just can't type anymore?
You can't delete it anymore?
No, like
you can just delete this one, and no, you can just duplicate it, right? You can just duplicate it.
I haven't saved it yet. I just have to start again. I've never. It's a really annoying bug that I just occasionally. It happens when you change the data types in here, and you're, I don't know. Anyway, let's try this again. Yeah. Oh, it's new restaurant, and we're returning.
So, yeah, just to recap, we're actually trying to convert. When you have data types like integer or string, for example. Right now with this custom function, we are trying to convert it to a data type. In this case, we have a data type called address, and we have the street name, we have the city, and we have the street number, right?
Mm-hmm. We have street number.
So the street number should be integer.
Yeah, but I don't actually think I made it as integer when I created the data type.
Yeah, okay, it doesn't matter.
You might not want it to be numbered because sometimes... because if you're displaying it as a text or something, you might actually not necessarily want it to be numbered.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at the end of the day if it's string or integer.
Yeah. Okay. So any little bit of nullable review?
It's okay. Just leave it on default. Default, I think it's good.
Okay. So we're here. And
and then we can just enable the AI, and then we say return
new
address. New. Yeah, you can say address strict. And then we can say with and then we can say street number and then street name, and then city.
And then just see what it comes back. Okay.
Yeah.
And city.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it would be good if you just write with the letters, the capital letters, the same that it's written inside your custom
Because then it
function
picks
code.
it up, yeah.
So the city should be with the lowercase city.
Okay. But I think it managed to fix my.
Yeah. So if you just copy function, yeah, we can try and fix this function if there are any errors, because I see right now there are some errors.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. So I think you copied it, right?
I have it, I think. Yep. I guess so. Custom function code.
If you go down.
Okay. I think it's because I'm so zoomed in. Trying to make it so it's legible. There we go.
Yeah, you just copy it. When you click copy, you just copy it. Cool. Okay, now right now let us see what are the errors.
So we got here the name parameter number isn't defined. That's fine because we can. Oh, the name parameter number isn't defined. The argument type string can't be assigned.
Yeah. Here the problem actually comes. We should be able to do this. But the problem with the Flutter flow is that they're actually using another method to create the address string. So in every data type in FlutterFlow, you have to have an address string create, and then you can populate, in our example, the street number, the name, and the city. But actually, if we I think we don't need to get into this right now because it will just take more time for us. I think I will prepare for the next live stream, and then we can just do it. But normally, as I said, and I talk with you, and now I remember that you asked me about it. And this is actually how you're supposed to do it. The problem here, another problem here, is that even if you write address string create, which is as I said, this is the FlutterFlow class that you need to use in order to in order to return the data type that you need. You actually have to have an import and import this class inside the custom function. But the problem is that you cannot import custom things inside the custom function. You can do this inside the custom widget
or a custom action, but not.
And you can do this in custom action, but you cannot do this in custom function. So we have to think about a way to actually do this. But I think now
the only way you can return a data type is if you also have a data type as an input. No.
Yeah, we can try that, of course.
No, that would definitely work, but that's the same. That's not really very.
No, but the thing, if you try this, can you just try this and just write some because I think if you try this, the import will be included, right? No, it's not included. Okay, that's a little bit. Yeah, the problem is that you have the address struct. But I think if you have an access to an address struct, you should be able to have an access to the address struct create. So yeah, let's do this for another live session. But in theory, this is how you should supposed to do this.
Can I just wait one more thing real quick? Var x equals. Okay, that's interesting. So then,
yeah, the thing is that can you just
you can get this is what I'm doing, by the way, for viewers.
Yeah, but can you just try and write input address dot city and then equals to some random city, so we just see if this works.
Okay. Input address dot city is equal to
some random city. Yeah. So if this thing works, then we can just say.
I didn't think about doing it this time. So basically, by doing this, you've called in something above there that now, because what you could do essentially is you could just put as your input parameter like basically a blank data
Yes.
type. And then, but it means now you can go through and set it all. You can
And can you just try input address that city equals to city? So if we see if we can use the parameter.
Input city is equal to city. Yeah.
Yeah. So
This you
in
could
theory,
really, you could, because my original use case was to have, I wanted a list of these, let's say.
yeah.
But if you're going to be, that's really cool. I'm
Yeah.
going to try around with that more. I'm going to play around with that. We'll talk more about that maybe next week.
Yeah, sure. We can do this.
I'm going to have a play and see what's possible to hack together. Dimitar is the one that knows things. I just trial and error.
And then
cool.
I would just take 5 more minutes to talk about the thing that I prepared for today, and then we'll answer the questions, the 2 questions for Vahom, if it's okay.
Yeah.
Can you just delete all the things that you added?
All the junk that I messed it up with.
To get rid of the most of the errors that we have right now.
Yep. What are these errors? Oh no, they're just all about Firebase not being set up.
But can you just go to the Firebase?
Oh, and if I delete this, they'll go away. Yeah.
And just delete not the data types. Don't lose the don't delete the data types because we will use the data types.
Okay, but all of my nice collections.
Yes, collections. You can delete those. Yeah. So the problem while you're deleting this, so the problem I wanted to talk about today is the return types, and actually there was a post inside the. I will post a link to the post, the original post. This is a normal error. Just ignore it because this is actually if you go to the custom functions.
Yep.
Real quickly, and then just click on the copy one, so the second one, and then edit and then go to the code. Yeah. So this is actually I actually copied the same code or the same logic that the user actually posted inside the community. So basically, he created a data type. So Josh was very kind to explain to all of us what is the data type and when it's used. So he created a data type that is called classment record, I think. And then the whole idea here, as I understood, was to actually get the length of the so it's a list basically, and you need to get the length of the list. So if you get to the error, so if you just point on the error says that you have the list class record strict, and you're actually wanted to return an int because at the end of the day you want to return the number of
things in the list, the number of
the length of the array.
Yep.
And here you have the array, but in this case he's trying to return the array by itself, which is actually it's general. There are a few errors here, so I just wanted to talk about it. And yes, the first thing you are thinking about it is that you need to actually write that length, which will actually return the length of the array. But here we have another problem, and this problem is that Josh is actually trying to fix that which is actually great as well, because we can see that this is a very simple code, but it's actually hard to get it, how to fix it, because we need to think how we can actually fix this. And then the logic here is that here, if you write only return classment list and then length, can you just point on the error?
Yep.
So the error here says that we cannot have that something. So in this case, it's a property to a class. So in this case, we cannot have a property to a class because we can have a no value. So this is very important. I'm saying this, I think, for the third time. I see this
error all the time.
Yeah. So I
don't know how to solve it still.
I wanted to talk about it because This is a very common error when you're enabling the Null Safety feature, and we will see this error in the future more and more. So here, what it's saying is that if we have, for example, 20 classmates, and then we say .length, of course, it will return 20, right? This is the logic. But if we have a no, and then we have here, it's like no.length. So if you have no.length, we will have an error, and we will have a gray screen.
Yeah.
So here, how we can fix this? The fix is not that hard, actually. First of all, you can just delete all the code that you wrote from the 4th line to 7th line.
Isn't that the solution? If I want to play.
Yeah, you can just try.
What my guess is, like my guess, I would think.
Yes.
Like my stupid logic. Essentially, this thing may not exist, and also the result may not exist, and so I need to handle both of those situations. I would handle the first one by doing.
Oh, actually, just to say something important here, the return type can be no in this situation, and actually, if the return type is set to true and you're expecting a no, you don't need to actually have a default value for the return type. This is very important as well.
So I don't need to handle this necessarily, but what I do need to handle is
because
I want to be able to get the length of this, and I need to handle the fact that I can't get the length of something that doesn't exist. That will break it. So what I need to do is first, before I try and get the length, I need to handle the fact that it might not exist. So I would do if classmates list, my input equals to null, then I'm just going to, let's say, actually what I would do first, I know I want an int, so let me just create a variable that I can stick results in. So I'm just going to create a basic X, let's say. That's fine. So what I would do is if it's null, I would say that X equals, let's say 0, essentially in human terms, what the result of it not existing is. Then
it's strange you're writing on the same line. Can you just click on the button to format it? Because I'm a developer on this.
You hate how unformatted my code is.
Yes, that's better.
Okay, does that make you happier?
Yes.
Right. Then what I would do is I would provide.
No, if the else needs to be on the line 9 in this case.
Oh, 9?
Yes. Okay. Just delete it. Yeah, line 9. Line 8. Right now it's line 8.
Format it. I'm not used to that. Okay.
Here, yes. Okay. Yes.
I do condensed code.
Yes.
So I also add lots of extra spaces normally, which you hate, like that, just so it looks nicer to me. So what I've got here is if else, essentially giving two situations. So how am I going to handle it? If it's null, I want X to be 0. But if classmates list is not equal to null, so the syntax of putting a exclamation mark, is not equal to null. Always how I remember it.
Yeah, here you have a problem. Sorry to interrupt, but here you have a problem. When you have else, you don't need a logic, right?
It's duplicative. Basically, it because this one it runs from top to bottom, and as I learned yesterday from Dimitar, right to left for some reason. But because essentially you are saying that this happens, if this, it means it can never not be null. So essentially, the compiler is smarter than me because it knows that. I was trying to provide for the other circumstance. So essentially, at this point, by line 8, we know it is definitely not null, in which case I can get the list length. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say X equals else X equals class.
No, sorry, I have to stop you again. Yeah. The problem is that when you have if, you have some logic. So you have if and then some logic. Yeah. When you have else, you don't need the logic in else. You just have to write the curly braces and then what you need to do. Do you get what I mean? So in your case, when you have on line 5, you have the classmates list equals to no. So when you have the else, it will be if it's not equal to no. So it's the opposite. So you don't need any logic on the else part.
But I don't.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. Just click on the format.
Maybe this is not
get
format,
confused.
Right? Is that better?
Yes. Much better.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I understand. You thought because I was writing on the same line. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. So basically what I've done here, by this point, I have that if this is null, which is what we were saying might be, it might not exist, I'm just going to put x is equal to 0, the human definition of non-existing. Else, in every other circumstance, I know I can get a length from it, so I will put x as equal to the length. And now I've got my answer, and I want to return x. My only thing is this going to, does this matter? So this is null safe.
No, that doesn't matter because usually by default, FlutterFlow, it's when you say that you're expecting to return a null value, you don't need any default logic because you cannot actually have a default logic for a return type. Return, if you say, oh, I can expect to have a null, then for return value, you can actually have a null, and that's totally okay, and it's totally fine. And in this case right here, in theory, you never have a null value if you think about it, right?
Yeah, no. I will always have, if this exists, it must have a length.
So if you ask me, you can simply go to a function definition, and then on the return type, you can just say null equals to false, because we will never have a null value. And it's normal to not expect a null value. And yes, your code is totally fine, but we can actually do the same thing with only 2 lines, because right now we're doing this in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. But we can actually do the same thing in 2 lines. So I can just show you how we can do this. So we can go step by step. And the first step is to just create the most important thing here is to have a default value. So how we can do this? If we have a classment list, so if a classment list is null, we should have a default value. So we can just write, for example, you can just write int. So we have here we'll have a mistake, an error in purpose, just to show you how you can do this. So if we have int and then x, for example, which in this case will be the length of the it will be the list actually. So just equals, and then we can just say classment list. So yeah, the same thing here. And then we can just have 2 question marks.
Oh yeah, like that.
And then we can say empty string, empty array. Sorry. Do you know how we can do an empty array? Yes, exactly. So yeah. So here it's complaining, and this is a normal error right now, because this says a value of type list dynamic cannot be assigned to a value of type int, which is a great error actually, and that's why as I said, we did that int in purpose because we wanted to see what is the type that the code is expecting. And now we see that the code expects to have list dynamic. And you can just write, instead of the int, you can just write the same thing. So you can just write list dynamic, or just write the int and you can see it. Yeah, and then dynamic. And I think with the lowercase, it should be with the lowercase dynamic. I think so. Yes. And now it says X is not used, which is totally normal thing. And then we can say return on the next line.
Just making sure it's formatted.
Yeah, of course. And then we have X.
Yep.
And then you can say dot length. And now we can say dot length.
By the way, just a quick interjection, guys. If you're ever not sure what to do, just type dot after something. You will get a lot of different options here. These are all the things you can do. I'm not going to pretend it's easy for me, even after however many years of trying, 2 years trying to understand exactly what this syntax means. However, if you Google stuff and look around the community, or even you can drop messages for us, there are examples that are human and possible to help you understand what these things actually mean and how to actually use them, because for me this is just meaningless. But still, once you know kind of what they are, then you can start using this dot to get some ideas of, okay, these are all the things I can do at this point in my code. So for instance, length. Sorry.
Yeah, and that works. We actually did it with 2 lines of code, the same logic that you did before that. And here, what is the logic? Is that if we don't have an array, we're returning actually an empty array. And when we have an empty array, that length, this will actually return 0. So it's actually the same logic, as I said, like like the one that you wrote, Josh.
Yeah.
So
question mark. It just remember it stands for if else, because that's
Exactly.
essentially what it's doing, right? It's saying
exactly. So it's just saying
this first question mark is for if it's broken. The second one says do this thing.
yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So it will actually only work if it's no. So let's just be clear about that.
My oversimplifications. So there you go. We have answered that question. Do you want to go to the questions in the chat since these people?
Yeah, sure. So we just had a question from. So let me just go from the simplest questions to the more advanced ones, because the simplest question will be more fast to just answer real quickly. So we just had the questions. The last question from Kerzo was to. Can you actually show the chat, or it's not possible to show the chat?
I'm not sure if I can. When I try.
So yeah, he asked what is the purpose of the. Yeah.
Does it?
That's no, unfortunately not.
Probably only new messages will show up.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, the thing is that the 2 question marks is actually, if you have a no, the 2 question mark will say if it's a no, then use this value that it's that you decided to be. It's very useful actually in the no safety environment, because I think it will be it is actually a great solution to assign a default value. So that's why it's.
And I think this thing is the key principle of null safety. It's the fact that you are essentially, we are creating something that we have entirely control of, this X. And I think that when you're getting errors with null safety, that is the starting point, I think, almost always for the approach is, okay, I need to create something temporary that I now know from start to finish is never going to be null. And then essentially link that to whatever your inputs are that might be null. And then you have this ability through a few different ways we've shown a couple times to prepare for those situations. Yeah. But everything almost always seems to start, in my brief experience so far, with essentially creating something else just temporarily.
Yeah, I think we will talk about the null safety in the future as well, because it will come. And so we have a second question from Kafif, and Vahom. He asked if we answer his question because he was a while for, but we didn't, and we will answer them now. But first, let's answer this question from Kahib, which is he asked how to pass the limit for more than 10 query in and not in. And I think this is not possible right now, right?
Well, this is a Firebase limit, yeah? So the limit for people who are not familiar, essentially when you're doing a Firebase query, one of your, which I'm not sure I can do because I don't have any collections, but one of the options you have is called in and not in. And what that essentially allows you to do is it's the equivalent of doing 10 filters, which are equal to. So just to show you for complete. So if I'm doing here, query collection users, and I want to find a list of documents and I want to filter it where the, let's say the display.
Can you ask it to open it in the other bar? Because sorry.
I don't think this one I can't open, right?
Okay, because our cameras are on the way.
I can turn off my camera if you want, if that helps. Does that make more space?
No, it's just black in your photo.
Okay. So. I don't know how to make it big.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Is that better a little bit? I've zoomed into like 150%.
I think it's better. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we've got this. What I'm looking for is essentially, let's say I want to find, I only like people called Bob, Dan, and Steve. I don't like any friends apart from that. And so what I'm doing, rather than doing equals, essentially, I'm using this in, not in. So I'm looking for anyone who's got a name in their display name and let's say we can now enter in several different values. So we can enter Bob, Steve, and I guess Dimitar, if I have to.
Yeah.
I'll be his friend too.
Yeah.
So this is the 9. If you have more than 10 of these, you can also grab it from some other Firestore list. It will break. There is no way to get around that. That is a Firebase limit. And from what I've understood, it's because of what these are essentially equals checks, and it would just become programmatically or whatever inefficient. It would run too slow. So the question is, and by the way, whoever asked the question, feel free to give some more details about your use case, but I will speak generally because I've had this kind of thing before. In general, what you would want to do is approach it a slightly different way. You can look for array contains is the other option. So if I put in let's say within my users collection, go away. Let's say I have a field called like friends or something, right? And which is a list of document references of other users. Now, if you gave your user every one of those and kind of thought about it a little bit backwards, then you can use, so now I want to query for a list of users where, and instead of, let's say, where they're friends, oh, I didn't set this up as a list, sorry. Like, why is this not working? It's never doing anything right the first time. Friends, and I'll make it better. I'll make it friends names. And this is going to be, let's say, this is string guys. Cool. So now.
But do you need to have all the friends' names inside?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't how I would actually do it. I was just trying to show the arrays contains option.
Yeah, sure.
The way I think to do it. It's not hard. Sub collections are quite good way of doing it now.
Okay.
I just wanted to show the option, to be honest.
Sure.
So now, so now what you'll see is friend names, and then you have this option array contains, and also array contains any, which is really a useful one.
And array contains don't have a limit, right?
Exactly. So this means you can query a list of any length, right? So you're essentially flipping it around, right? So the way we were doing it before, we were saying find something that is within this list of 10 things, and unfortunately that breaks once we want to go more than 10. What you have to do then is restructure essentially to have it be the other way around, right? So is this one thing in the backwards? I don't know if I'm explaining that very well.
Yeah, maybe George will be kind enough to show us this in the second live stream the next week.
Yeah, I can definitely cover this in more. I can prepare a few examples. And again, feel free to type in your use case or ping it to me on the community or whatever, and I can try to create.
And we have 2 more questions. The last questions are from Vohom.
Of course.
How can we do specific comparisons when we are getting data from an API? So can I ask you to show us how you can do this with Firebase, Josh?
With Firebase, sure, but that wasn't the question.
Yeah, I know, but
so how?
Because I think it will be something similar. That's why I just.
What you're saying is how to. So if I've understood the correction correctly, it's read it one more time. Is how to compare things that are returned in an API call.
No, how to do specific comparisons when we are getting data from an API.
Yeah. So I don't think that's necessarily going to be this. So because I'm guessing it's about the JSON path stuff, right? Because that's going to be
probably
that's going to be the issue. So you probably have if you want to share a project that has an API in it. I don't have any set up right now here.
Yeah, but just show how we can do this. As I said, you can just show how you can do this with Firebase if it's something that you think
it wouldn't really be similar necessarily, because I think again, without knowing this a little bit more of the details, essentially when you get the return, I can. Is there really no API I can just quickly set up in 30 seconds?
There is one that I think if you can write a test API or something like that.
Does random user have an API?
No, you just. Or maybe you can use this one.
How to go use here. Let's set up this API really quick. You can use Ajax.
Or you can use test API.
Yeah,
Can you
so
just write test API?
Test API.
No, just write in Google, and I think it will just show you.
I thought you were gonna give it me from memory. This one.
Yeah. I think the second one.
API. Test API. Rec bin. Which one is it? So is the website?
Yeah, I think the first one that you clicked, isn't it?
This one. I've used rec bin before, but I don't know if they.
No. The thing is that this is like to test the API, but we need something to
data. I think I'm pretty sure. I think if I do this website, get.
Yeah, we can try with that one.
Let me see. I think that may be even all I need to do. There's no like headers or anything, right? Success. I think that's just it. No.
Yeah, just test it so we can see if something is returned. Just test
here,
and then we can see something.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a return here.
Yeah. So what we've got. This is a website test API. So we're gonna have a list of friends essentially. And so the question was, how do you compare results received by an API? And I'm not sure exactly what you're comparing it to, but we'll try to provide a few examples. So the first things first, for those not familiar with APIs, what we want to be doing is getting, we're looking at our JSONs, essentially. So this is we were talking about this earlier, this is structured. So essentially I have a man, this is the key name, like a field store file value, name. We have a data type here because it's nested. We also have location, street lights. This is actually very.
You can just type that results and then that
name,
that name or that gender. Or
that name, no?
It should be that name, but we're getting no here, so it's. Results, and then that gender, isn't it?
Oh, I should have just used this from this time. This is a great website, by the way, if you're terrible with your JSON paths. JSON paths are just a way of notating how to get to stuff, how to get the specific information. So results.
And I think this is an array, right? Results is an array. So we can, no, and then gender.
There we go.
Yeah, because
so then array. My generic one would be .NET, like that, right? Yeah, exactly. No?
Yeah.
So I needed a slightly different notation.
Yeah.
Again, by the way, for people, if you don't know something.
Yeah. So what we can do is, can you create a list right now in the page? So
yeah,
we can
that's
just
what I was
show.
going to do, and then link it to this exactly. But I don't have to set this up. This is just for testing, right?
Yeah, but you don't need it. I don't use it.
So I will add a list view. We'll pull in that data, and then we'll show how to do some basic kind of comparisons with it. So you set up these exactly the same as you do, well, almost exactly the same. So we're going to do an API call with our test API and enable pull to refresh. Cool.
And then you have to go to the second one. So it's the one that it's next to. Yeah, here, because we have so here you can write just a friend or person or whatever.
So this is essentially what we want to generate for each item. So you see here your API response, and then you have your JSON body, and this is where we want to specify exactly what we want from each one. So
and here it's that results.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's that results.
Not with any of this stuff.
No, just that results.
Oh, okay. I was just okay.
Because we need an array, and that results will get us an array.
But okay, I was going to get us an array of just.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it's that results. And now you can just write one name like test,
text.
Yeah, just text
and then we set this from, let's say, whoops. We would set this from the person. So this is each thing in that results list. And then we can use the JSON path. And this was where
here we can just no, we need the dollar sign. Yeah. Dollar sign that name will be
Dollar sign is basically it's like a tree almost, if you like. It's a stupid example, but so now we have this set to the name. So now my guess is that our user is wanting to compare this, and maybe because the fastest way I can think is like maybe you want to show conditional visibility, and so you might want to do a comparison. For instance, does this person item, and again you can set your JSON path again to .name, right?
Yeah.
Is it
equal to? I think it's okay.
You can do any of them, right? Like in
equal to Josh.
Yeah. Oops, sorry. Let's do a specific value. Maybe this is what he's asking.
Yeah, probably from value, and then can you just write?
But you can't. So you can only use this. I will show you. That's now. So, I think we understand.
So probably you need a custom function for that. And I'm as I said in the community, like 5 minutes now, that before we went live, that I created a custom function because of that. So we can just create a super simple custom functions real quickly, and this will be like a comparison custom function, and we'll just return a boolean.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah. We return a boolean. So essentially, because I think what you've identified to the original question asker, sorry, I don't.
And this will be value 1 and value 2, or input. No.
Am I allowed to do input?
Input 1, yeah.
And then. Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, and we will get it from. You will get it like a string. So that's okay.
So then, what we're gonna do? What do you want me to type real quick?
So we need to have a default value if you have a no. So we need to have like string, then just write string with a capital letter, and then write name or name 1, because we need to have another name 1 and then equals. And then input 1, 2 question marks. And then empty string. 2 question marks and then an empty string.
All right, my contacts are getting really dry, so I can't see what I'm typing half the time. That's why I'm question mark, and then I've done empty.
Input 1. It's the only input right now.
Really can't see.
Yeah, and I'll do the same for the input 2. Just name 2, for example.
Name 2. So what we're doing here, just like we were talking about before, we're creating 2 different variables. Great.
And now we have to have the if. So we say if, and then we say if name 1 equals to name 2. And then we say we need to have return true, and then we have else return false. And then we can just click on the button to format it, because right? Yes, but we have one. It's double equals. So just
you have nightmares about my formatting.
And here it's name 1.
Name 1, You have nightmares about my formatting. So there you go.
And you can just save this one right now, and then just use it here.
So here we can now overcome what they wouldn't let us do, which is essentially we want from the variable, the input 1, we're going to be saying this person, and then JSON path, just like we were doing before, .name.
Yes.
And then what we're doing in the second one, which we couldn't do.
And Josh. The second one will be Josh. Yes. So now it should work. It should work because I'm using the same theme actually.
I'm hoping to the original question answer that.
And I actually, as I said in the community, I actually put this this custom function inside the marketplace, but they didn't allow it because the code was very simple. But as you can see right now, right here, this is actually code that when using an API, you need this code actually.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's one of those ones that you just have like, you always reuse. Okay, and what was the final question?
And the final question is, there's a situation where I might need to show if a record is increasing or decreasing So I need to show a plus or a minus in that
Yep.
list.
Yep.
My problem is that I cannot seem to render icons conditionally.
Okay, the way you can render items conditionally. So let's say we wanted to, produce an icon for this result so that it was like a green tick or a red X, yeah, for some reason. So rather than doing like the visibility thing, what we wanted to do instead was show whether it's equal to that or not, which is a similar thing. So what I would do is I would put a row here. And then let's say we want to have an icon, which would be for your increasing or decreasing. And it's not pretty, but essentially the best way to do it is to have two of these in a stack like this. And you will make, let's say, one of them is going to be red for your decreasing. And one of them is going to be green for your increasing, and you're going to choose increase or plus, he said, right? Some plus icon, and then you're going to have here some minus icon. And then what you're going to be doing is using the function we just built. Let's say set the conditional visibility here to be custom functions, and then API function, our input one, obviously it's a name here, so it's a little bit different, but you'll get the general idea. From the variable person, no further changes, JSON dot name, okay, and then our input two is specific value, JOS, yeah? So, or if his name is decrease, let's pretend, yeah? His name is decrease, it will show this one. And then you would just do exactly the same thing for the other one, for if it is the opposite condition, basically.
Yeah.
And in that way, only one of these will show up, and you will get that plus or minus for each thing. So that's basically the easiest way to do it when you just have two things like that.
Yeah, and normally we're doing like 1 hour, and now we're an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah,
so
cut it here.
But we do have a lot of people that joined us, and Mama Dao
showed up, and as always,
and Mama Dao joined us as well. And actually, he's asking if we answered his question. Actually, we did it. We answered his question like 20 minutes ago, something like that. Yeah. And James asking if he can ask any topic. Yes. In theory, you can ask any topic in both FlutterFlow, of course.
Well, but you can ask us about our lives.
But my suggestion is actually, if you are planning to join us next week, just ask the questions as soon as you can, so we can just prepare and then answer your questions. Because right now we prepare stuffs, and we don't want to leave them in the middle of the talk. But if there are many questions in the live sessions, probably with George we can think about it and just answer all the questions, right? And just do this.
Of course. So feel free to drop them in the community. And thank you all for joining, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.